you like to know who the best free kick taker in the world ever is?
Un Juninho, on connaît ses qualités. Là, c'est un peu loin quand même. Ouais, elle est bien partie. Oh non, quel but! Quel but de Juninho!
This is from Juninho, correct? So you took a lot of the technique from Juninho.
In the world of football, no other player was more feared than Juninho pernambucano when it came to taking free kicks. He made the opponent scared when he stood in front of a ball, and he left goalkeepers stunned after the net shook. He could score from any distance and any angle. He was an enigma, a dead ball specialist, who used his free kicks to defy not just the laws of physics, but also logic and common sense. He was so good, Andrea Pirlo said he wanted to be like him. Pirlo spent so much time studying and trying to copy Juninho's technique, the knuckleball, one that the likes of Cristiano Ronaldo, Didier Drogba and Ronaldinho have also copied. But it was popularized and perfected by one man, Juninho, the player who physically couldn't miss a free kick. And here is his insane story. What made him so good? How did he bend the ball to his will? And is he really worth the title of greatest free kick specialist of all time? Let's find out. Before Juninho took everyone to school on the science of football and biomechanics, he was just a barefooted kid kicking makeshift balls on the streets of Recife. Born on January 20th, 1975 in Recife, the capital of Pernambuco, Brazil, Juninho was faced with one bitter reality growing up: poverty. He might have had a lot of names, Antonio Augusto Ribeiro Reiss Jr., but there were few resources to go around his home. Worse, he was the last born of 5 children, meaning he had to do with hand-me-downs. But there was one thing that Juninho could afford, and that was his tendency for playing with anything round. Whether basketball, football ball, or volleyball, the young Juninho was obsessed with it. Nevertheless, he had a stronger penchant for football. So, when he couldn't play outside, he improvised. Using the wardrobe at home, Juninho made it into a goalpost where he practiced shooting. But before he had the chance to build his incredible technique on a football pitch, he began playing futsal for the sport club do Recife team. Here, his coaches noticed that he was going to be special, aside from his skill and general flair for football early on. Something else stood out about the 12-year-old. He was a born leader, but this came with a price. Juninho didn't like being subbed off and was arrogant. He wouldn't listen to the refs or his coaches. In fact, it took his mother's intervention, in most cases, before he would bend to the rules. His respect for authority, which was later seen in his adult playing years, was something his mother instilled in him. But if his mother was responsible for teaching him respect when he was 12, when did he start taking free kicks? This would be a year later after he joined Club Recife. When Juninho was 13 years old, his leadership tendencies meant that he always put himself in front of the ball during set pieces. But the problem was, Juninho was terrible. He rarely ever scored the free kicks. He would stand in front of the goalpost, his eyes locked, his heart pounding, and his mind already celebrating a goal. But when he hit, it would sail wide, again and again. But this wasn't entirely his fault. Aside from him being a novice, futsal was a major obstacle because it was played indoors, where the walls were too close. Hence, there was no space to move back enough for more power. Space and power are two elements Juninho's knuckleball technique would come to use a lot later. For now, the young Juninho's skills were still incubating. In 1991, after playing futsal for years, the 16-year-old began playing for the Sport Recife youth team as a junior. During this time, he would pass the entrance exam of a business. But, enraptured by football, Juninho would not continue with school. The young Juninho was still studying though, not school books but the free kick masters before him. Brazil's success in the early 1990s was a combination of traditional flair and evolving tactical discipline. This blend culminated in their triumph at the 1994 FIFA World Cup, where Brazil lifted the trophy after 24 years, proving their dominance on the global stage. But the aforementioned players were not exactly the stars that caught Juninho's eyes. It was the likes of Marcelinho and Didi, especially as this was the time when he started building his free kick skills. He would later reveal this to 442 when he said, "I started by copying free kicks taken by Marcelinho, who played for Corinthians. He was one of my inspirations, and the first player I had ever seen hit the ball head on and make it dance in the air." Didi, who won the World Cup with Brazil in 1958 and 1962, was doing it back then. But even with all these learning from the best, Juninho was yet to score a single free kick since graduating from futsal. Nobody knew his name yet. No one was scared of him. No one cared. He was just like David Beckham, another free kick legend, who was born in the same year as Juninho. He too was still just developing his skills with the Manchester United youth team. If discussions were made about who the greatest free kick specialists were, Maradona, Michel Platini, George Hagi, Ronald Koeman, Roberto Baggio, Zico, and Pele would be mentioned. However, Juninho still had not recorded his first free kick, but his coaches could already see the potential lurking in his set-piece stance, shot power, and curler. It was only a matter of time at that point. In 1993, when he was 19 years old, Juninho was promoted to sports senior team, where he would play professional football for the first time. As Juninho incorporated himself into Recife's senior team over the next few games, he would finally get the chance to score his very first free kick. It was a moment of unexpected fortune for the young 19-year-old, playing away against Gremio. With the team trailing 2-0 and hope of a comeback seemingly slipping away, he was given the chance to take a free kick. A decision likely born out of desperation. Juninho stood in front of the ball from 30 yards out, the home crowd noisy but unconcerned. He connected his foot with the ball. With so much power, it soared like a missile, dipped, then swerved. The goalkeeper dove, but instead of stopping it, awkwardly pressed the ball inside. Then the net shook. The crowd fell silent. Juninho had done it. His first free kick, the first of many. This goal marked the start of an era. In 1994, Juninho was at the heart of Sport Recife's legendary Golden Generation, a team masterfully guided by coach Givanildo Oliveira. Packed with fan-favourite icons like goalkeeper Jefferson, left-back Chiquinho, and striker Leonardo, the squad was a force to be reckoned with. Amidst these stars, Juninho emerged as the mastermind in midfield, orchestrating plays with precision and beginning to showcase his now famous free kick prowess. His brilliance was instrumental in securing victories in the Pernambucano Championship and the Copa do Nordeste, cementing his status as a rising star. That same year, his incredible performances earned him the title of Revelation of the Brazilian Championship, catching the attention of top teams across the country. He would later earn a bigger title, one that stayed with him for the rest of his life. But first, he had to make a move to another club where he would become a legend. This is also where Juninho would score the most important free kick of his life. You see, after playing 69 matches and scoring 27 goals for Sport Recife, Juninho joined Vasco da Gama in 1995. But amidst the fanfare for his arrival, it was striker Leonardo who stole the spotlight. Juninho was just another name on the roster, but he bided his time. Then, on his debut, he unleashed a thunderous strike from outside the box, silencing the Santos crowd. This strike was only a flicker of excitement, a hint of the brilliance to come. Yet, doubts lingered. Could he truly live up to the hype he developed in Recife? Well, the answer was no at first, because Juninho struggled to make an impact. He sat on the bench in most games in 1995, frustrated but hopeful. Then, in 1996, he soon started to pick up the pace. Slowly, he began to weave his magic, and in no time, became a regular starter. He controlled the midfield, his passes crisp and accurate, his vision uncanny. In a Carioca derby against Fluminense, he netted his first free kick for Vasco. With this kick, Juninho never looked back again. This was where he truly started building his resume as a set-piece artist. But things got even better the following year in 1997. Juninho, now a cornerstone of the team, orchestrated a series of breathtaking victories, and in no time, he had received a unique name from the fans, Little King. That year, the Brazilian Championship title was snatched by Vasco thanks to Juninho, playing alongside the fiery Edmundo, who was at the heart of it all. But the pinnacle arrived in 1998, the Copa Libertadores, the most prestigious club competition in South America. Vasco, fueled by a potent blend of skill and passion, marched towards the summit. This is where Juninho would become a god in Brazil. But first, he picked up the Rio de Janeiro Championship title with his team. Then, he focused his attention on the Copa Libertadores. Following a tough run in the tournament, Vasco faced River Plate in the semi-finals. They won the first leg 1-0 at home, and were excited to take that advantage to River Plate's intimidating Monumental de Nunes. But River Plate had other plans. Vasco struggled for most of the game, and fell 1-0 in the first half. With the game nearing completion, Vasco was scared of a potential penalty shootout. But then, in the 80th minute, They were awarded a free kick. With the home crowd roaring, Juninho stepped up to take it. He hit the ball hard and it sailed through the air in a majestic arc before nestling into the top corner. The stadium fell silent. Vasco, against all odds, had clawed their way back into the tie and an eventual win. The final against Barcelona de Guayaquil was a formality. With comfortable wins in both legs aggregating into 4-1, Vasco were champions of South America. Juninho, the unassuming midfielder who had arrived with little fanfare, had become a legend. He was Reisinho da Colina, the little king of the hill, worshipped by the passionate Vasco faithful. Yet, the fairy tale was not to last. You see, after winning the Libertadores, Juninho played in the Club World Cup final against Real Madrid, scoring a spectacular goal, although Vasco lost 2-1. In another Club World Cup in 2000, he led Vasco to the final again, but they were defeated by Corinthians. The little king had now gotten a taste of European football twice, even though as a victim, but he still remained loyal to Vasco. In 1999, he helped them win the Rio Sao Paulo tournament and the Mercosul Cup. The following year, in 2000, Juninho played a pivotal role in leading Vasco to victory in the Brazilian Championship. His performances were crucial, with decisive goals in the round of 16, semi-finals, and the final against Sassuolo. For his outstanding play, Juninho earned his first individual honor, the Bola de Prata award, and became the team's star player despite earning one of the lowest salaries. And this is where everything turned sour between Juninho and Vasco. He tried renegotiating his contract for a higher pay, but the team wouldn't budge. This led to a legal battle that lasted for 4 months, with Juninho sitting out games. In 2001, Juninho, heartbroken, left Vasco for Lyon, a team he hadn't heard about before. He was also heavily pursued by Barcelona, one of the best in La Liga, but Juninho chose the struggling French side. Why, you may ask? Well, it was all thanks to the efforts of former defender Marcelo Gian, who played a pivotal role behind the scenes. Gian recalled being moved by Juninho's leadership during the João Havelange Cup final, calling him a guy with a very good mentality and a solid striker. Lyon's interest was sealed after seeing footage of Juninho's iconic free kick goal against River Plate in the 1998 Libertadores semi-finals. Despite Lyon's efforts, Barcelona aggressively pursued Juninho, offering a higher financial package and the chance to join stars like Rivaldo, Xavi, and Kluivert. However, Juninho chose to honor his word to Lyon, famously telling Gian, quote, "I gave you my word and I'm going to Lyon. The guys can offer me up to 200 times more, but I'll keep my word. Don't worry, Marcelo." In a dramatic twist, Juninho missed his flight to France on the signing day, causing Lyon's directors to fear Barcelona had won him over. However, the delay was genuine, and Juninho later reassured Gian of his commitment, ultimately signing with Lyon despite continued pressure from Barcelona. What happens next is not something that gets talked about enough. When Juninho arrived at Olympique Lyon, the club had not won a French league title, not even once. That changed in his debut season in the 2001 and 2002 campaign. His impact was immediate. Unlike his arrival at Vasco, Juninho was immediately infused into Lyon's first team, and with that, the revolution of the team in the French league started. He played a total of 29 games and scored 5 goals, including a vital free kick that came in the 82nd minute to help Lyon secure a draw against FC Sochaux-Montbéliard. But his major moment came in a season-defining game against RC Lens on May 4th, 2002. The stakes were high. Lyon must win to clinch their first ever title. Juninho controlled the midfield as usual, delivering precision passes and dictating the game's tempo. A 3-1 win, with him providing an assist for the last goal, would secure Lyon's first ever French championship. Juninho had already shown his worth, but this was just the beginning of his reign. The 2002-2003 season was when the league began to truly take notice of Juninho. He played 31 league games and netted 13 goals with 5 amazing free kicks. But here's what's even more crazy. Juninho scored a hat-trick against Auxerre, and 2 of them were free kicks. At the end of the season, Lyon had secured another Ligue 1 title. In the 2003-2004 season, however, Juninho would prove that he could also dominate in Europe, and not just France alone. He scored 5 goals in the Champions League to add to his 17 in all competitions. But one unforgettable moment came on November 5th, 2003, in the Champions League group stage against Bayern Munich. Standing over a free kick 30 yards from goal, Juninho unleashed a curling strike that made the great Oliver Kahn almost hit his head against the post. The goal didn't just give Lyon a crucial start to an eventual 2-1 win, it also announced Juninho's arrival on the European stage as one of the deadliest free kick takers in football history. After his retirement, he was asked by 442 what his favourite free kicks are, and he picked the one for Vasco in the 1998 Libertadores semi-final, and this one against Kahn. He was quoted as saying, "There's also the one I scored in the Champions League for Lyon against the great Oliver Kahn of Bayern Munich. It was my best knuckleball free kick from a long distance. It hit Kahn's left post, pretty close to the bar. That win made us feel we could win the tournament, but sadly we didn't. If the world wasn't noticing before, it was then." Back in Ligue 1, his free kicks continued to be Lyon's secret weapon, and at the end of the season, they secured their third consecutive title. It was insane. Just think about it. Since Olympique Lyon was founded in 1950, they had gone all those years without winning the league title. Then, a Brazilian midfielder showed up one day, and 3 years later, they had won 3 titles in a row. Sounds like a fairy tale, right? Well, it gets better. At the end of the 2004-2005 season, Juninho netted 8 free kicks out of his 15 goals in total. And guess what? He scored free kicks in 3 consecutive matches, where he found the net. On another occasion, he netted 4 free kicks in 4 consecutive games in which he scored. He was in a nutshell, a set-piece cheat code. He finished the season as Lyon's top scorer with 13 league goals and won his 4th consecutive Ligue 1 title. But that's not all. You see, after failing to enter the Brazilian national squad for the 2002 FIFA World Cup and the 2004 Copa America due to a nagging knee injury, Juninho finally found luck in the 2005 FIFA Confederations Cup. Brazil ended up as winners of the tournaments, and Juninho didn't fail to record another free kick, a screamer that came in a 3-0 win against Greece, another display of his perfected knuckleball technique. That was obviously a great year, but the 2005-2006 season was Juninho's masterpiece. He was at the peak of his powers, and his performances propelled Lyon to their 5th consecutive league title. One game stands out, February 21st, 2006, in the Champions League round of 16 against PSV Eindhoven. With the game tied at 0-0, Juninho stepped up in the 65th minute and scored a stunning free kick, guiding Lyon to a 1-0 first leg victory. Juninho was unstoppable, finishing the season with 18 assists and 14 goals, with 7 free kicks in all competitions. He was also crowned Ligue 1's Player of the Year. But 2006 wasn't done blessing Juninho, as he was part of the squad that made it to the 2006 World Cup in Germany. While he didn't score any free kicks, he, however, used his knuckleball technique to score one of the best goals in the competition. Unfortunately, his team was knocked out of the tournament in the quarter-final against France. After the loss, Juninho would surprise everyone by announcing his retirement from national football, stating, "The national team is over for me, and those of us over 30 have to leave a place for the younger players to make a new team for 2010. We have to think about the young guys and build up another team." He was 31 years old at the time. By the 2006-2007 season, Juninho's free kicks were more than just goals, they were moments of magic. Fans paid just to watch him score one of his stunners, and opponents were careful not to recklessly bring down any Lyon player anywhere on the pitch. Whether from the corner, from 20 or 40 yards out, it was dangerous to cause a foul with Juninho on the pitch. On October 22nd, 2006, Lyon faced Marseille in a heated Ligue 1 clash. Juninho scored twice, including a strike which is considered one of the most audacious free kicks of his career. The goal not only secured a vital win, but also demonstrated why Juninho was hailed as the greatest free kick taker in football history. By the end of the season, Lyon had secured their 6th consecutive league title, with Juninho once again leading the charge. He won his 7th consecutive Ligue 1 title for Lyon in the 2007-2008 season, again scoring multiple free kicks. By this time, he was already a legend, and by the 2008-2009 season, he was named captain of the Lyon team. Unfortunately, Lyon wouldn't grab another Ligue 1 title, ending their long dominance in France. Then, in an unexpected turn of events on the 26th of May 2009, Lyon chairman Jean-Michel Aulas announced at a press conference that broke the hearts of the Lyon faithful. He stated, "Juninho will leave us. We have agreed to cancel the last year of his contract, and he can now go wherever he wants." Juninho sat beside Aulas during this announcement, but overwhelmed by emotions, couldn't say a word. After his departure, Lyon never won the Ligue 1 title again, almost 20 years on, and this is still the case. Juninho scored 100 goals during his time at Lyon, with an astonishing 44 of them coming from free kicks. His final free kick goal was a long-range strike against Olympique Marseille on May 17th, 2009. It was the perfect way to end his reign as Lyon's greatest free kick taker. His 100th and final goal for the club came from a penalty against Saint in his farewell match. This also made him the 5th highest goal scorer in the club's history, a prolific scorer in European competitions. Juninho matched Sonny Anderson as Lyon's all-time top scorer in European tournaments with 16 goals, achieving the milestone in a match against Steaua Bucharest in November 2008. He later surpassed that record, finishing as Lyon's top scorer in the Champions League with 18 goals, helping the club reach the quarterfinals 3 times. Throughout his 8-year spell, Juninho led Lyon through an era of dominance, securing an unprecedented 7 consecutive Ligue 1 titles. He also lifted 6 Trophées des Champions from 2002 to 2007 and capped off his silverware collection with a Coupe de France victory in 2008, solidifying his legacy as one of the club's greatest players ever. Many even think he is the greatest in Lyon's history. But what do you think? Anyway, before Juninho would hang his boot for good, he had to do something first. On June 17th, 2009, he signed a 2-year contract with Qatari club Al Gharafa worth €2.5 million. In his debut season, he captained the team to a historic treble, securing their 7th Qatar Stars League title, the Qatari Stars Cup, and the Qatar Crown Prince Cup. His performances earned him Player of the Year honors from the Qatar Football Association. During his time at Al Gharafa, Juninho played 66 matches, scoring 25 goals, many of which were free kicks and long-range strikes. So, yes, Juninho still had it in him. France was not the only place where his free kicks would be legendary. But, after a while in Qatar, Juninho became homesick. Therefore, on April 27th, 2011, he made a highly anticipated return to Vasco da Gama. However, one question loomed. Would Juninho be able to replicate his old Vasco days in his mid-30s? Or is it time for a retirement? Truth is, his comeback was nothing short of spectacular as he scored his first goal in his first match batch, a stunning free kick at that against Corinthians. Throughout the 2011 Campeonato Brasileiro Serie A, he added 2 more free kick goals and a penalty to his tally. By July 2012, Juninho extended his contract for another 6 months, still scoring free kicks, still enjoying life. He added more free kicks to his tally, including 1 scored against his boyhood club, Sport Club do Recife. But by the end of the year, Juninho moved on for reasons not exactly clear. He joined the New York Red Bulls in Major League Soccer. However, his stint was short-lived. After receiving a red card on April 17, 2013 for intentionally hitting Sporting Kansas City's goalkeeper with a ball, he was suspended for 2 matches. Despite providing 4 assists in 13 appearances, his contract was mutually terminated on July 3, 2013. He returned to Vasco da Gama for the 3rd and final time on July 11, 2013. Juninho made an instant impact, scoring and assisting in a 3-1 win over Fluminense. He later netted a stunning 32-meter free kick against Criciúma and continued to rack up assists in matches against Corinthians, Grêmio, and Botafogo. His final season saw him register 16 appearances, 2 goals, and 7 assists. In 2014, at the age of 39, Juninho officially retired from professional football. Nearly 40 years old, and Juninho never stopped scoring free kicks. The man, like a leopard, couldn't change his spot. He was a free kick specialist, and nothing could change that. This is what makes Juninho truly one of a kind. While superstars like Cristiano Ronaldo and other so-called free kick specialists may start their careers scoring stunning set pieces, many eventually lose their touch, but not Juninho. His precision and mastery never faded, it only got better with time. And that raises an interesting question. Has there ever been another player, past or present, who could truly measure up to Juninho? When it comes to the greatest free kick takers in history, names like Roberto Carlos, David Beckham, Messi, Pelé, Zico, and Cristiano Ronaldo often surface. However, according to experts like Polish ball-striking coach Bartek Silwestrzak, 3 players stand above the rest: Juninho Pernambucano, Marcelinho Carioca, and Marcos Assunção. To put it in perspective, Silwestrzak compares free kicks to tennis. If this was the world of Grand Slams, then Juninho and his peers would be Federer and Nadal. Different styles, equally dominant, and simply on another level from the rest. To put it in another perspective, think of free kicks as heart surgery. Now, while general surgeons like Ronaldo, Messi, and others may know a thing or two about the heart, Juninho, Marcos, and Marcelinho were heart specialists. So, what made them special really? Silvestriak, who specializes in teaching professional players how to improve their ball striking, attributes Juninho's success to his unique ability to generate power with minimal spin. The unpredictability of the knuckleball's movement, combined with the modern design of footballs, made his shots nearly impossible to defend. According to Silvestriak, many big-name free-kick takers were exceptional in some moments, but they lacked Juninho's consistency. For example, Roberto Carlos scored some of the most spectacular free kicks in history. However, his technique was not designed for consistency. As for Cristiano Ronaldo, in spite of his reputation, he has struggled with the same technical issue for years, often failing to lift the ball effectively or hitting the wall. While Ronaldo's free kick prowess was once celebrated, particularly in his early years, his effectiveness has waned over time. During his time at Juventus, for instance, Ronaldo managed just one free kick goal in 3 years, after an astonishing 43 failed attempts. Now, what about Lionel Messi? He's widely praised for his free kicks, but when compared to Juninho, there's a noticeable gap. Messi's conversion rate hovers around 10%, while Juninho's was significantly higher. Plus, Messi lacks the top spin technique that allows for both precision and power. A great example, his famous Panenka free kick against Espanyol, where he chipped the ball over the wall instead of driving it with force. While it was clever, Silvestriak argues that it highlighted Messi's limitations rather than his strengths. But it gets better. Since the 2007 season, Opta's data revealed in February 2024 that Ronaldo and Messi attempted the most free kicks in Europe's top 5 leagues with 492 and 456, respectively. Trailing behind was Zlatan Ibrahimovic and Andrea Pirlo. When it comes to goals, Messi led the way with 41 at the time, followed by Ronaldo's 31. However, efficiency paints a different picture. Ronaldo converted just 6.3% of his free kicks, 1 goal every 16 attempts. Messi had a better rate at 9%, that is 1 in 11 attempts. Now, Juninho might not have had the highest conversion rate, considering he attempted the most free kicks per season with 70 attempts during the 2006-2007 campaign and 60 the following season, both of which are the most by any player. But he is still the greatest, and you are about to know why. For one, Juninho took free kicks from any angle, where other free kick takers would only attempt close-range kicks, leaving the long-range ones for crosses into the 18-yard box. Juninho's case was different. He was his team's only set-piece taker, and in most cases, he didn't cross or pass. He shot directly at goal. Hence, if he attempted only close-range shots, he would have averaged a higher conversion rate than anybody out there. Secondly, while other takers might strike the wall or hit the ball into the stance, this was hardly ever the case for Juninho. He had perfected his technique so much that his shots were usually on target. If they didn't reach the keeper, they would hit the crossbar. But when it entered, it was a beauty to behold. So, yes, there hasn't been anyone in modern-day football who can stand toe-to-toe with the great Juninho. Even great specialists of old such as Pelé, Zico, Maradona, and later, David Beckham and Ronaldinho, would still find it difficult to match Juninho's range and reliability. With that said, how did Juninho truly manage to stand out from the crowd? Over the years, a particular free kick technique has been known by many names. In Brazil, it was called La Folha Seca, or the dry leaf, where midfielder Didi first introduced it to South America. In Italy, it was Maledetta, meaning the accursed, a name that emerged as Giuseppe Meazza mastered the art on the other side of the world. Some even mistakenly labeled it the tomahawk after Cristiano Ronaldo's early adoption of the style, believing it to be his signature move. However, to most, it is simply known as the knuckleball, a technique with origins dating back to the mid-20th century, but refined and perfected by one man. Juninho possessed an array of free kick techniques, but the knuckleball was his deadliest weapon. His ability to generate power while adding unpredictable movement to the ball set him apart. Many have attempted to replicate his precision, but few have come close. So, what made Juninho really exceptional? Well, first and foremost, it was his relentless dedication to perfecting his craft. Silvestrak emphasizes that free kick mastery isn't built in team training sessions. It's a highly individualized skill that requires repetition and attention to detail. Juninho, for instance, studied Marcelinho and Roberto Baggio's free kicks before refining his own technique. His former Lyon teammate, Mahamadou Diarra, once remarked that watching him practice was mesmerizing as he made the extraordinary seem routine. His technique wasn't luck, it was precision honed through relentless training, biomechanics, and an understanding of physics that made his shots move like something out of a video game. But, to get really technical, this is what Juninho really did with the ball. He hit the ball with the knuckle part of his foot or the upper instep, ensuring almost no rotation. This lack of spin causes the ball to move unpredictably, swerving left, right, or dipping suddenly, making it extremely difficult for goalkeepers to anticipate. In case you're still confused about how it is done, Pirlo explained it better in his autobiography, I Think Therefore I Play, when he wrote, "In essence, the ball needs to be struck from underneath using your first 3 toes. You have to keep your foot as straight as possible and then relax it in one fell swoop. That way, the ball doesn't spin in the air but does drop rapidly towards the goal. That's when it starts to rotate. And that, in a nutshell, is my maledetta." Pirlo also said this about Juninho, quote, "That man made the ball do some quite extraordinary things. He never went wrong. Never. I checked out his stats and realized it couldn't just be chance. The search for Juninho's secret had become an obsession with me. It was all about how he struck the ball, not where. Only 3 of his toes came into contact with the ball, not the whole foot." Pirlo also credits him as a major inspiration when he wrote in his book, "I studied him intently, collecting DVDs, even old photographs of games he had played. You know you are good when a legend like Pirlo studies your art and then writes about you like this." Lyon's own goalkeeper at the time, Gregory Couper, had the best seat in the house for Juninho's genius. During training sessions, the Brazilian would send free kick after free kick flying into the top corner with terrifying accuracy. One day, after being beaten yet again, Couper threw up his hands in exasperation and jokingly asked, "Why do you hate me?" That was Juninho's magic. His own teammates, who saw him every day, couldn't figure him out. And neither has many students of the game today. Nevertheless, Juninho's influence is well documented, but unfortunately, there's hardly anyone who you can look to as a free kick specialist right now. Today, James Ward-Prowse is one of the last of a rare and fading breed. Basically, free kick specialists are becoming an endangered species. The decline in free kick specialists is reflected in the numbers. In the 2006-2007 season, the top 5 European leagues averaged 642 direct free kick shots per season. By 2022-2023, that number had dropped to 305, with just 87 free kick goals across all 5 leagues, less than half of the 183 seen in 2008 and 2009. Several factors explain this shift, and one of them is VAR and refereeing changes, with video assistance reducing the number of fouls awarded, particularly in the final third. There are simply fewer opportunities for free kick specialists. Additionally, teams now prioritize expected goals, or XG over highlight reel shots. Many prefer crossing the ball into the box rather than risking a low percentage direct attempt. The golden era of free kick takers may have passed, but football is cyclical. Defenders may eventually adapt, creating space for specialists to thrive again. For now, as long as Ward-Prowse and a few others continue to keep the tradition alive, there is still hope for the return of football's most beautiful dead ball artists.
What we've learned today is that Juninho pernambucano is the best free kick taker of all time ever.
Great free kick takers leave a mark. The very best become legends. But Juninho Pernambucano, he went beyond both, turning set pieces into an art form, a science, and even an unsolvable mystery, all at once. You could even say that he was a player who physically couldn't miss a free kick, and you won't be wrong. Some players might master power, while others focus on direction, but no one, Roberto Carlos, not Beckham, not even Messi, made free kicks look as effortless and as uncatchable as Juninho did. His technique, the knuckleball, refined to perfection with one mission, goal. He didn't strike the ball, he programmed it. And it didn't matter if it was from 20 or 40 yards out. It also didn't matter if he was at home in the Brazilian League or away in the Champions League. Juninho approached every kick with the same mindset, to leave the goalkeepers dumbfounded, deceived and fooled. Juninho was just exceptional, and it's no wonder why legends like Pirlo had to study him to perfect their own skill. but even they had an issue matching his level of talent. He had successfully set a standard so high that even in years to come, when free kicks start becoming a thing again, it might be hard to match his brilliance. So the question is, will we ever see another player like Juninho, the player who physically couldn't miss a free kick?